All right, hey, I appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in. Gonna talk a little bit about the bag that you see here. This is my home defense bag, as sort of the name implies, the name on the title implies. And we're gonna talk about the bag, what's in the bag, that kind of stuff, sort of my philosophy behind the bag. We'll also talk about, you know, the sort of the mission, I guess, that this bag supports. So I guess before I can really get into the bag, kind of need to make sure that we're all on the same page. So when my concealed carry gun is not on my person, that is to say it's not in a holster on me, then it sits in a gun safe. And whenever it goes into a gun safe, it wears a weapon light. I put a weapon light on it when it goes in the gun safe. When I take it out to put it on, I take the weapon light off, and that's just a Surefire X200 for my weapon light. So that sits in the safe, like I say, when it's not on my person. And then in the same safe is the carbine that you saw in the carbine setup video, and I'll break that out here in just a second. So in the safe, I've got my concealed carry pistol. Obviously, it's not loaded now, but it would be, you know, if it were in the safe. Carbines in the safe, along with an extra magazine, and then the spare magazine and stuff for my concealed carry pistol. So that's what goes in the safe, and then this bag this bag sits sort of nearby. And so that's in the safe. On top of the safe, I have a handheld flashlight and a baton. So this is just an expandable baton that someone got me for Christmas a couple years ago. Anyways, the purpose of the baton is to, you know, if there's a real sudden violent attack and I need to be able to defend myself right now and I don't have time to open up the safe, I can use the baton to get to work. Also serves as a less lethal option for me if I think I need it. Handheld flashlight, obvious what that does. It's my handheld flashlight. So these two items work in conjunction with each other for sort of just my bump in the night setup. So, you know, you're asleep, you hear that kind of weird sound, can't really place it, want to go check it out. This is what I would take with me. So I primarily do the searching with the handheld light, just sort of hold the pistol in a ready position, and then, you know, at that point, if I see something that I need to point a gun at, I can either go one-handed or via the ring that's on this light, I can simply rotate it out of the way, put two hands on the gun, and go to the handheld weapon light. Now, this ring is by Surefire, and you know, it sort of is what it is. You can accomplish the same thing with just a lanyard on your flashlight. But basically what that allows me to do, the ring allows me to do, is to keep the flashlight in my possession. I don't have to drop it or anything to put two hands on the gun. Like I said, you can do the same thing with a lanyard. So there's a flashlight and pistol setup. Pull these out of the way here real quick. Now, like I said, I'm going to bring the carbine into this real quick. So this is my home defense long gun, and like I say, this is the same gun that you saw in that carbine setup video. It's essentially unaltered. What I will just mention real quick is how I stow my sling. So, you know, if I need a rifle for home defense, if I think that I need a rifle right now, not a rifle when I can get my sling on. So what I do is simply stow my sling out of the way. I don't want to be, you know, moving around with a sling that's just hanging out there waiting to snag on stuff. So like I say, I stow it out of the way. All I simply do is, you know, wrap it up around the buttstock, fold it back on itself, and then use just some double-sided Velcro to secure it to the stock. The Velcro itself is kind of woven through the stock there. So that secures the sling out of the way. You can see it's very tight. It's not just going to fall out of there, and it does not affect the action of the rifle at all. So it doesn't affect my shooting or anything like that. Like I say, it's nice and out of the way. So there's the rifle. Mentioned the rifle sits in the case. I might have called it a spare magazine. It sits in there in condition 3. That is, the bolts forward on an empty chamber with a loaded magazine inserted. This is a mag pull Generation 3 PMag. Generally, I like the Gen 3 PMags with the exception of this silly lip right here. I could really do without that, but that's what's loaded in the gun. Magazine itself is loaded with frangible ammunition, and I don't know, I've heard all kinds of descriptions of frangible ammunition to include that they explode when they hit stuff. Well, frangible ammunition doesn't explode when it hits stuff, it simply disintegrates when it hits hard things. You know, if it hits flesh, I'm sure that it probably starts to come apart, but you know, you're not going to have over penetration with frangible ammunition, and so that's what I have loaded in my rifle. Would recommend that you do some research and that kind of thing on if you're going to run any sort, well, any gun really. You need to be doing research on ammunition, but particularly when you're talking long guns in a home defense role, and that includes shotguns. You know, kind of the old traditional speak is that, or thought is that you just run birdshot. I'm not really a big fan of that idea. You know, I've done some testing, my own testing with birdshot, and you really start to lose penetration ability and that kind of stuff at 7 yards. So, and 7 yards really isn't that far. So I'm not a big fan of birdshot for home defense. Buckshot, you know, you're going to be penetrating walls. Obviously, slugs are going to penetrate walls. So, you know, do some research. Maybe you can find some small buckshot that's going to carry some lethality at distance, but is less likely to penetrate interior walls and that kind of thing. Do some looking on that. As far as shotguns go, you are going to have some of the same considerations that you would have with a rifle. Starting at the back, you're going to want some way probably to attach a sling, be it a 2-point or a single point or whatever. You're going to want a sling on there. You're going to want a weapon light. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dedicated surefire forend, but you need to have some sort of good workable light system for your shotgun. And if you're running a, you know, pump action or sort of traditional semi-automatic shotgun, would recommend a side saddle, and I would recommend a rigid side saddle. I know that there's the side saddles that use the elastic loops. My experience with any elastic shell keeper isn't good. I would much prefer a rigid side saddle to the elastic loops. That's my opinion. You know, your mileage may vary with that. And if I was going to have a home defense shotgun, I would want it to have a red dot sight. You know, when you're talking home defense, you're probably talking low light and that kind of thing. And as I mentioned in my carbine setup, that's low light is where you really start seeing red dot sights and that kind of thing come into their own. So, you know, if I were going to run a shotgun for home defense, I would want it to have a red dot sight. And yes, I realize this shotgun does not have a red dot sight, but this shotgun isn't a home defense gun. This is a project gun for me, and when it's project complete, which is really, you know, at this point just kind of mounting an optic to it, maybe I'll get a review on it. I really like this Mossberg, but like I say, it's a work in progress. So that's sort of my take on shotguns. There's nothing wrong with them. You know, I'm more comfortable with an AR, and so that's what I use in home defense. Now, on to the bag. So I mentioned that when basically when I don't have a gun on me, it's in my safe, rifle's in my safe, and then this bag sits nearby. Now, I also, you know, when I'm considering home invasion, burglaries, that kind of stuff, I use a sort of a bunker mentality. Now, I don't have like a, you know, a concrete safe room or anything like that, but my plan, if someone uninvited comes into my home, I'm going to bunker up until on-duty law enforcement gets there. That's my plan, and, you know, that's what I would recommend to just about anybody. So, with that said, you know, I think I've mentioned it. I have a very young daughter, and she's not capable of moving to where I'm at. So if I need to enact my bunker plan, I've got to go get her before I can enact that plan. And that's kind of where this bag comes into play. You know, I can't just like go stowing magazines on me. I need to have some sort of way to transport critical equipment, and that's where this bag comes into play. Now, You know, inside my bunker room, I've got ammunition and medical and extra phones and all that kind of stuff. And this carries a certain amount of that, but this is, you know, this isn't necessarily the end all. This is just to get me from point A to B, really. And so this is the system that I've gone with. Now, I've chosen a bag like this over a plate carrier or a chest rig for a couple specific reasons. So, first of all, this bag is extremely quick, or any actually messenger style bag, and I think I mentioned this in my EDC video. Any messenger style bag is going to be very quick into action, and what I mean by that is I don't need two hands to put it on. I don't need to mess with buckles. You know, I can get it on and get where I wear it with just one hand. So, you know, I could be covering a door or something like that with one hand while I'm putting this bag on with the other. This bag has a carry loop on it, and probably most of your messenger bags will. So really, I could even, if I was really that pressed for time, I could just carry the bag, wouldn't even have to put it on, you know, have a gun in one hand and carry the bag. So the bag is very fast into action, and it's very simple to put on. Now, I'm sure with probably some plate carriers, you could probably get them on one-handed, but I think you would be hard-pressed to get it buckled up correctly with one hand. And as far as chest rigs go, I would like to see the chest rig that you can realistically get on with one hand. I think you're going to need two hands to do that, and again, you know, when you're talking buckles and stuff like that to secure them, you're going to need two hands for that. So that's my take anyways. Not that I'm, you know, the world's expert on plate carriers and chest rigs, but I've had my time with them, and I don't think they go on as easy as bags like this. So there's kind of my thoughts on a messenger style bag. Now, admittedly, there's no ballistic protection here. You know, if you're running a plate carrier, presuming you have armor in it, then you're going to have ballistic protection, which is good. And whether you're talking chest rigs or plate carriers, you're going to have your magazines in a more ergonomic location. And what I mean by that is, you know, drawing magazines maybe from a messenger bag might not be the most ergonomic option for you. But with that said, it's not bad. You know, that's kind of a training issue. You train to it a little bit, you'll be able to get your magazines out of there just fine. So there it is. There's my thoughts on a bag like this. Now, this specific bag is made by Hawk Packs, and it came from LaRue Tactical. They make great stuff. Nope, they don't make this bag, but they sell these bags. So anyways, bag came from LaRue Tactical. It's made by Hawk Packs. Again, messenger style bag. As you can see, it's got a very nice, long, wide shoulder pad, and on the shoulder pad I have a tourniquet just bungee corded into there. So that's the pad. It attaches just with buckles. I guess if you wanted to take those off for whatever reason, you could. I mentioned the carry handle. So it's got, again, traditional sort of messenger style flap that comes over the top, and then on these three sides, the bag's kind of a rectangle. So on these three sides of the bag, we have a molly grid. Can hold that up so you can see it. And then on the back of the bag, I'll just hit it real quick, is this stuff. So this bag came with a couple straps that I assume are for securing the bag to your leg. So you run your straps through there and you can secure it to your leg. So I don't have any need for that, so I pulled those straps off. That wasn't a big deal. They just came off, everything velcros back down into place. So that's the back of the bag. Back to the front. Alright, so again, I've got molly on these three sides. Starting at the back here, this is an HSGI bleeder kit, and I'm pretty impressed with these kits. I've got them on one or two rigs, or one or two other rigs, and I'm actually impressed with the amount of stuff you can keep in them. They're about the, as you can see, they're a little smaller than a double M4 mag pouch. And, I mean, you can get a lot of stuff in there. H bandages, if you pack this thing right, you'll be able to get an H bandage, chest seals, gloves, that kind of stuff. And in this one, in addition to an H bandage, I've got another little tourniquet in there, some gloves, a glow stick. I think there's a chest seal in there. I mean, really, it's a pretty good little trauma kit. Coming around to the front, 3 30-round AR magazines. This is a tactical Taylor, just three magazine shingle, and these are just Generation 2 PMags in here. And then coming around to the front, this is a 5.11 double magazine pouch, pistol pouch, and there's 2 Glock 17 magazines in there. And those are for, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, those are for my Glock 19. And then just sort of stuck down in the webbing here, this is a little, just a little keychain light, very low lumen push light. So if I want to signal to somebody, I can do that. If I just need maybe some light navigation, maybe not necessarily in my house, but if for some reason I had to go outside with this bag, I could do some light navigation. And then also if I needed to look down in the bag, I could do that as well. So and then I just added some hooked Velcro there to the back of it just to give it some grip sitting down in that molly. So that's the outside of the bag. Bottom of the bag has some drain holes, so I know it's not real exciting. All right, inside the bag, I'm sure you guys can see this. So just as on the outside, on these 3 faces of the bag, there is molly. Now on these two ends, the molly grid is made out of elastic loops. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So you've got molly, but it's elastic. And then on this side, it's sort of a traditional molly grid, but you're probably not going to be able to see it. But the molly straps are faced with loop Velcro. And then on this back panel is just a big panel of loop Velcro. So you've got a lot of customization options inside the bag. So that's it for inside. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I've just got a, I don't know, no-name admin pouch here just to help kind of organize some of the smaller stuff that's in here. All right, so I'll pull out the big stuff here first. Inside the bag, I have 3 sets of flex cuffs, and would recommend that you have some sort of restraint system. They don't need to be flex cuffs. You know, you go with handcuffs. You could even go with zip ties that are done up and ready to go. Make sure your zip ties are ready to go so that you can get them on. If you're going to use actual zip ties, make sure that your loops are going to be big enough to get people's wrists through there. You know, I've come up with zip tie handcuff things, and they just weren't big enough. So make sure you're actually going to be able to get someone's hand through there to get it around their wrist. So I would recommend that you have some sort of restraint system. With that said, you know, in law enforcement, when we handcuff, we like to handcuff where we've got, you know, at least 2 officers there. And, you know, I mean, think about it. You know, you're having to put into restraint someone who just broke into your home. Do you really want to get intentionally within arm's distance of them? You know, something to think about. So you're probably not going to be able to see that. Maybe a little bit. This is some drop stuff for my home defense plan. And, you know, when I was considering some bug-in type things, came up with my home defense plan. That's some stuff that was written down. You know, there's no reason to come up with a plan and then ferret it away where I'm never, you know, maybe never going to see it again. So stuck it in here. Those are laminated pages. You know, it is what it is. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but there it is. Couple chem lights, 3 chem lights, so you can hang them, whatever you need, you know, lighting tasks for. And then the only other stuff that's in here is just a pin and a notepad and some batteries for weapon lights. So that's it. You know, I'm not gonna haul around a whole. Oh no, it's not it. Door stop. So these, you know, come in packages of 3. You can get them at Walmart. And yeah, these will certainly hold a door open, but they will also help keep doors closed. And, you know, they're not the end all for keeping people from coming through a door, but they do make coming through that door very, very slowly. And if you don't want to take my word for it, go try it. Like I say, they're about $1 for 3 of them. And, you know, if you're using a bunker concept, it may be very advantageous for you to ensure that that door, maybe you're not going to be able to keep it from ever coming open again, but you can make it real slow. And you may find that advantageous if you're trying to defend that room. So some things to think about there. So that's it. I don't think any quote on this one, you know, just kind of ran out of time, but I do appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in, you know, leave comments, questions, and stuff like that down at the bottom. Like, share if you like this stuff, and subscribe. So appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in. Thanks.